Big Brother 27 Final 3 houseguest Ashley Hollis has come up with a finale night plan that proves that she deserves to win the $750,000 prize over Morgan Pope and Vince Panaro. Ashley, a 25-year-old attorney originally from Chicago, Illinois, but currently living in New York City, isn't known for her competition wins, but she made it to the final 3 because of her superb social game. Ashley had a rocky start to Big Brother 27 during week 1 when she angered some of her fellow houseguests when she took a long shower in Vince's head of household bathroom before he had the chance to use it. Although he'd said it was okay, some of the other houseguests thought that she took advantage of him. Showergate nearly cost Ashley her game when Vince nominated her for eviction because she was the house target, even though he'd previously promised her safety. However, Ashley was able to save herself with the power of veto, and she completely turned her game around. She wasn't nominated again until week 8. She also became a member of the Judges Alliance, along with Morgan, Vince, Rachel Riley, and Will Williams, and they dominated the game. Although Morgan and Vince have a stronger competition resume than Ashley, her finale night plan proves why she should win Big Brother 27. The final Big Brother 27 HOH competition parts 1 and 2 have already been played, with Morgan winning part 1 and Ashley winning part 2. Considering that Ashley hasn't won a competition since week 1, it seemed a given that Vince would emerge victorious, but she was able to beat him, and will now face off against Morgan during part 3 live on finale night. When the live feeds returned after part 2 of the HOH competition, Ashley was seen dancing in the kitchen. She looked at the camera and announced her shocking plan to eliminate Morgan if she wins part 3, and to take Vince with her to the final 2 chairs. She definitely has a better chance of winning against Vince than Morgan, but cutting Morgan would be a very bold move for her. Ashley has been playing the role of a ditz all season, even hiding the fact that she's a lawyer from her fellow houseguests. However, this plan proves that she's smart, clever, and thoughtful. She knows that Vince has burned every member of the jury including Rachel, Will, Kelly Jorgensen, Lauren Domingue, and Keanu Soto. If Ashley eliminates Morgan, it's likely that Morgan could be Vince's only vote after Ashley makes her case against him. If Ashley does make it to the final 2 chairs, she'll be very prepared because she's been practicing her finale night speech for the jury. On Friday night, Ashley was alone in the hot tub talking to the cameras, rehearsing her speech. She stated that she thought that she could win if she focused on her social game in her speech. She then mentioned how the key was to lower one's threat level throughout the whole game. Ashley said that she turned her enemies into allies. In Ashley's practice speech, she asked if Big Brother is just about winning competitions because Season 2, winner Drive Will Kirby and Season 19 winner Josh Martinez weren't competition beasts. She noted that Morgan had to win competitions to prevent herself from going home and questioned if that was a strong social game. While Morgan and Vince both have many competition wins on their Big Brother 27 resumes, Ashley's right that they're not the most important thing. Morgan won 2 HOH and 5 Power of Veto competitions, while Vince won 4 HOH and 1 BB Blockbuster competitions. Ashley, on the other hand, only won 1 Power of Veto competition. However, the houseguests were very upset with the White Locust twist, when Rachel was eliminated rather than evicted from the game due to losing a competition. They lamented the fact that she didn't have the chance to campaign for herself, which indicated that they knew how important the social aspect of the game was as well. Although Vince won more competitions than Ashley, his social game was terrible. He lied to everyone, went back on his word, and then played the victim. Ashley played a much cleaner game, which the jury might respect more. This wouldn't mean that the jury was bitter, but rather that Ashley played a much better social game than Vince. If Ashley wins part 3 of the HOH competition and becomes the final HOH and follows through with her plan to eliminate Morgan and go head-to-head with Vince, then she deserves to win the $750,000 prize. She began the game as an underdog, but she worked her way through it with her social skills. Ashley was well-liked by her fellow houseguests, which is very important in a game like Big Brother. It'll be much harder for her to beat Morgan than Vince if she changes her mind and chooses Morgan or if Morgan takes her to the final 2, but she definitely has a compelling argument for winning against her too. It would be epic if Ashley won Big Brother 27. However, doesn't it feel like we just did this yesterday? The endgame is moving at a jackrabbit's pace on Big Brother 27. Only a couple of days ago, Keanu Soto finally got taken out of the game. And, over the course of one 90-minute episode, we got the final regular hoe competition and veto competition of the season. By the end of it all, another person was sent out the door, leaving the final 3 house guests entering this Sunday's finale. To paraphrase Rhett Butler, Ava Pearl's general Big Brother philosophy amounted to, frankly, I don't give a damn. The aura painter gave off great vibes from the start, making her one of the most well-liked people in the house. But Ava proved she wasn't just there to make friends during her hoe reign. When she went after some of the biggest targets in the house. The next time she saw power, it was a bit more controversial, as she had the first pick in the infamous White Locust twist. Wanting to avoid the most blowback, she picked Vince, unintentionally kicking off a series of evictions that would see all of her closest allies leave. At the final 4, Ava was put in a couple of must-win scenarios, only to lose out both times to Morgan. And sitting on the block against Ashley, after calling him out weeks ago in her nomination speech, Vinny the Lip had the final word, evicting her due to her superior social game. After not winning in hoe competition the first 3 quarters of the season, Morgan claims back-to-back stays upstairs. She became the first person guaranteed to see finale night on September 28th. Ava Pearl's Big Brother 27 philosophy can amount to one Rhett Butler paraphrase. Frankly, I don't give a damn. Whether aura painting or aura farming, Ava's social game was immediately palpable in the house, making her one of the most well-liked people throughout the entire season. But she made sure to prove she wasn't spending the summer just coasting on vibes. For example, she was a key vote to help flip Vince Panaro and Zach Cornell to not force a tie, instead turning on their allies to evict Adrian Rocha. And Ava repaid them in kind when she became hoe only a couple of weeks later. Her straightforward approach to the game manifested in her nominations, as she nominated the 2 of them alongside Keanu Soto, and even called out Vince for all of the alliances he had made so far. It was a major turning point in a season chock full of them. As one of the frontrunners to take it all was taken out, Ava then spent the rest of the pre-jury shoring up some tight relationships with people like Rachel Riley, Clifton Will Williams, Lauren Domingue and Kelly Jorgensen, and things were looking at bright at the yellow flower that adorned her hats. But like many people's games, that all changed at the White Locust. Ava won safety, as well as the first choice of who would play in a high-stakes competition. While she had made a final 2 deal with Rachel, she was offended by the former winner's forcefulness, and also didn't want to make a move that would put a target on her. And so, surprisingly, she once again called out Vince, this time as a favor. Ava would have no idea, in that moment, how much this twist would have her game spinning out like the hamster wheel of death. Rachel was shockingly taken out in the twist, partially done in by Ava's decision, a choice the latter would talk about ad nauseum throughout the rest of her time in the house. And power began to slowly coalesce around the duo of Vince and Morgan Pope, as they kicked off a streak of trading off competition wins. Ava could only sit idly by like a stagnant 50-day cup of lemon water as she watched her allies get taken out one by one. At the final 4, despite being on the block for the 4th time in a row, there was still hope that, with the right wins, she and Ashley Hollis could break down the pillow barrier separating them from the other 2. Unfortunately, Morgan took home the win in both competitions, securing their place on the block. And it was, of all people, Vinny the Lip who had the last word in sending Ava out, but not before she called a house meeting and used her eviction speech to take one last shot at him. Now in the jury house, Ava talks with Parade about why she chose to call a house meeting right before her eviction, how she looks back on her White Locust choice, and the reason she chose to confront Keanu so publicly. Talk to me more about your intention in calling a house meeting before the eviction. Did you debate doing it earlier in the week, or taking a different tactic? So my intentions with calling the house meeting was pretty much just YOLO. I knew I was going out the door, and I don't think that I could have done a different strategy. They were in an alliance. I now know there's nothing I really could have done, so I figured if I'm leaving, might as well go out with a bang. You had a final 2 with Rachel, but you decided not to pick her in the White Locust twist, something you've talked about not regretting numerous times since. Talk to me about what led to you picking Vince, and how do you feel about Rachel now? Pause. What led me to picking Vince was the fact that Lauren wanted to go in the wheel, and Rachel told me not to pick her. So I figure if I pick Vinny, Then he has to make that choice, and he picked Lauren, so it was my way of kind of avoiding getting blood on my hands and kind of passing the buck off onto him. And retrospectively, I don't think I regret my decision because maybe I wouldn't have made top 4 if I had made a different one. You went from confronting Keanu when he told you, I believe you have a prompt during the veto ceremony, to forming a final 3 with him before his eviction. What made you decide to confront him in that moment, and how do you look back on your relationship? It wasn't so much what he said but how he said it, and it was rude. And I felt like if I stood there and took it, the other house guests would know, hey, Ava's just the kind of person that people can talk to her any way that they want. And they can't. But yes, we did end up having a final 3. And frankly, my relationship with Keanu on a personal level, chilling. And no problems personally. You have not been one to mince words with Vince, whether saying he was planting seeds in your nomination speech or busting his chops in your eviction speech. Talk to me about your relationship and thoughts on his game as Vinny the Lip. On a personal note, I don't think he's a bad guy whatsoever. On a game level, I just think he lied a bunch to a lot of people, and unnecessary lies. So yeah, I don't know. We've had a long road. And hey, he got me in the end. What are you gonna do?